new running shoes. If anyone tells you that Instagram or social media marketing doesn't work, prove that it does. It's not raining, but it is cold and somewhat windy, which means that these wind sail of wheels could end up turning into a liability instead of an advantage. But that's sort of to be expected. I tend to make the wrong decisions almost always. I also didn't bring a long sleeve or pants, so bib shorts and short sleeve jersey today. Hopefully I run nice and hot. Problem with this video. It's a very simple problem, but it sort of brings this video to a completely dead halt. And that is that there's no other footage. I didn't take any other footage for the rest of the day because I was getting ready for the race, and I didn't have anyone there to shoot video for me like I had been very lucky to have done at pretty well every race that I've gone to this point. Therein lies the reason that this video is so late and why it's going to sort of suck a little bit. So from this point forward in the video, the story will be told from this position with the use of photos that I can find. Some of the video that my mom took, although she did take it in portrait form, even though I insisted while racing that she turn the camera to landscape mode, which she did for a little bit, and I don't know, maybe some animations that I draw just to tell the story. Already aware that I went and picked these up from Ian. This was my secret weapon. This was going to be the thing that instilled fear, that instilled the rest of the fear that I wanted into my dad and into my brother, to let them know that I wasn't messing around this year and that that they had no chance, that they weren't going to catch up. In fact, when it came to this duathlon, I didn't even have them on my thoughts anymore. Those two, they weren't the problem. There's one guy who I was sticking close to and did pass on the ride portion of the duathlon last year, who I wanted to stick beside on the run and get on the bike and leave behind. And that man goes by the name of Bill. He was public enemy, well, Spindat enemy number 1. That was the guy that I wanted to be near and try and beat the most. Remember back to last year, my brother wasn't in fantastic shape, and, well, my dad's kind of just older and hasn't been riding bikes his whole life, so I figure they're a non-issue. To my surprise, Andrew finally revealed that he'd actually been doing 2.5 months of pretty strenuous training. It did get into my head a little bit, and well played. The morning of, as I said, freezing cold, to the point that when we were getting our pre-race talking to, or riders meeting, I actually saw snow coming down. June 3rd, and there was snow. Not a lot, but snow anyway. After that riders meeting, like every race, pull up to the start line, and this is where I decided that I needed to be as close to Bill as possible. I wanted to be on his, I don't know, what's that called when you run? Anyway, if we're on bikes, I'd be wanting to be on his wheel, but we were running, so I wanted to be on his feet, I guess. I took one look behind me. Andrew was scattered about with some of the people behind me, and my dad was nowhere to really be seen for where I knew that I could be, because I was up there at the front, and I knew that that was where I was supposed to be hanging out. 3, 2, 1, start gun sort of goes off. The air horn didn't really work that great. And thus began my chase, which lasted about 3 seconds and he was gone. Okay, new game plan. Andrew's been training. Make sure that he isn't anywhere near me. Keep my head down and don't be too cocky. Just don't be too cocky. I gotta give credit where credit's due. After the first lap, when I ran over the chip timing system, it calls out who had just run by, and I still did hear Andrew's name come up. He was close enough that I knew that I had to start running even harder on the second lap, which I did. There's nothing like running faster out of fear and not out of physical ability. Luckily, Andrew was struggling slightly, but doing significantly better than he had been doing last year. Off the running shoes, on to the bike. And of course I went for the cyclocross mount, which seems to help with time and transition zone times quite a bit. Not to mention, people think it looks cool. Obviously, my number one worry was not keeping air in these tires and hoping that the cassette didn't fail me. I wish I could say that there's some drama to this portion of the story. There isn't. These wheels, the cassette, and the tires worked flawlessly, and I was able to claw back a significant amount of time on all of the people who were way faster runners than I was. Unfortunately for Andrew, the night before we had actually adjusted the saddle height on his bike, and his seat slammed down all the way down to the seat rails. And yes, that ended up being a bit of a problem on his side. But what is a race to my family without a mechanical, right? I'm not gonna say it was my fault because I don't want to take the blame. All right, so me coming into the transition zone again to get back into the running, who did I see other than Bill? And I thought to myself, oh, back to plan one. Bill's going down. And I rode into the transition zone, threw my shoes on, and my hands were too cold to tie my shoelaces. Back to plan two. Stay away from Andrew and my dad. Again, I wish there was some more drama to bring up or some footage to... I finished with a pretty respectable time and in a position that I'm significantly happier with than what happened last year. Out of 100 people, I did finish 16th. Andrew came in about 10 minutes or so after I did because of the lowered seat mechanical. He ended up having to go to the same bike shop that served me with a new wheel last year because Jim Gauguin is the best person in the Moncton bicycle scene, bar none. And my dad came in, I don't remember, 65th, but he did have a extremely bruised and somewhat torn looking hamstring. All that to say, redeemed from last year, from my brutal showing of last year. I'd like to do a little better in this event next year, so I've been running a little bit more, shorter distances faster. I do like those shorter events. The 1 hour stuff is my favorite place to be. Give it everything you got for 1 hour, no matter what you're doing, and then you're done. It's over. Anyway, yeah, that's gonna have to be the way that I tell this story. Hopefully next year, okay, that's the end of this video. There's actually like 2 or 3 that are sitting in the queue waiting for this one to be done so that things get uploaded in chronological order. And I've really been letting this video be the thing that hinders all the other ones that I've been working on. So, thanks for watching.